At the moment, I'm able to offer you free Elliott Wave analysis of Ethereum on this channel, but that's going to change soon. This is actually a good thing because it means you'll be able to get weekly, in-depth, full coverage of Elliott Wave analysis of Ethereum from Pure Elliott Wave, not just the quick snapshot I give you each day. When we begin this new subscription, we'll offer a grandfather rate for the first 24 hours that will never be offered again. Make sure you don't miss out on getting this very good rate by signing up to our notification list. Click on the link below to sign up. We'll email you a few days before launch, the day before and on launch date, so you don't miss out on this rate. For our YouTube subscribers, this is a good thing because when we drop our daily Elliott Wave analysis of Ethereum, we will add in daily Elliott Wave and technical analysis of Solana. So you'll be getting coverage of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP and Solana from us 5 days a week. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP on Friday, the 19th of April. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you're all looking forward to a lovely weekend, as am I. Bitcoin remains within a consolidation. There is resistance about 71,500 to 73,100 and support about 60,700. As I said yesterday, the probability from a rectangle when it's occurring within an upward trend for an upward breakout is 66% and for a downward breakout is 33%. Today I want to take a look back at previous consolidations when price was close to breaking out to new all-time highs, and I want to have a look at how price behaved. Is this really time-consuming consolidation? Is it normal or is it abnormal? Let's take a look. Here I'm looking at the highs of 2013. Price moved up with vertical movement, made new all-time highs, pullback, consolidation, approaching a breakout. How did price behave when it approached those previous all-time highs at the black resistance line? Well, initially it had a nice breakout. Not only did it close above resistance, but it then had a full green daily candlestick fully above resistance, but then it returned back to within the consolidation zone. And it had at least a couple of months of overall sideways movement, huge downward wick here, and then it started to move up, and finally it moved up and away. Pretty normal to see price do a bunch of work before it finally broke out to new all-time highs and moved up and away with confidence. Previous to that, we had 2011 highs, the first major high after the first huge bullish run, exponential growth and a blow-off top from Bitcoin. Price moved back, consolidated, and as it approached those previous all-time highs, let's have a look here at the daily time frame and see how did price behave here. It approached those highs, quick pullback, moving back up, a solid close above, and then simply moved up and away. No work was done around those previous all-time highs before price moved up and away with confidence. It doesn't necessarily have to be you see a consolidation, but as we saw after the 2013 highs, yeah, that can happen. So it doesn't always happen, but it has happened before, and now it's happening again. And this is what happened when price approached previous highs from 2017, found resistance in 2020, little pullback, moving higher again, another little bit of work for a few days, and then finally it broke through and moved up and away with confidence. So it's pretty normal to see price do some work before breaking through with confidence. So what's happening now with this rectangle? We've seen this before, and it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a double top. We could actually see price break through resistance with strength and move up and away, and that's what I expect is most likely because the big picture at higher time frames for Bitcoin does remain bullish. The last completed session has this extremely bullish long lower wick. Price is still unable to break below support about 60,700. It still remains within this big rectangle consolidation with the same resistance and same support. Overall, as price is moving sideways, volume is declining, particularly with most recent movement. Very importantly, on balance volume now has a really good support line. It's got at least 5 tests, if not 6, depends if you want to count this as a test or not. It did fall reasonably short, so we've got 3 here and another 2 here. That's a good solid 5 tests. It's got a very shallow slope and it's reasonably long held. The support line now has really good technical significance. On balance volume has moved up from support, price has moved up from support. support, it would be reasonable to expect overall some upward movement from price, at least to resistance, and we'll see how price behaves when it gets to resistance next time. ADX tells us still there's a downward trend, but price is essentially moving sideways. ADX tells us a downward breakout is more likely, but the probability of an upward breakout from the rectangle is still 66%. With a downward trend, there's still a ways to go before RSI would reach oversold, a ways to go before money flow would reach oversold. The Elliott Wave count for Ethereum remains the same. Yesterday's low did not make a new low below the end of Elliott Wave 3, so yesterday's low may not be the end of Elliott Wave 5. This could actually be a sideways movement for Elliott Wave 4. If Elliott Wave 4 continues, it may not move into Wave 1 price territory above 3413.05. I'm using one of the core Elliott Wave rules with an impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 may not move into 1. If we see a new high above 3413.05 before we see a new low below 2832.33, then I will label minute wave 2 complete at this last low. The pullback will be expected to be over, and I'll expect we're in a third wave up at multiple degrees. So this is the line in the sand for the Ethereum Elliott Wave count. If price remains below this point, then I will expect one more low for Ethereum is most likely. Support at 3050 is continuing to hold. This current candlestick so far has a very bullish long lower wick. If price breaks again below support at 3050, expect support at 2720 to hold as very likely. Price is moving sideways with a really strong decline in volume so far. Sideways movement looks like a consolidation. We've had recent bearish signals from Ethereum, but the last bearish signal could now be resolved. It was followed by some downward movement, at least a lower wick. And this bearish signal was very, very weak. ADX for Ethereum is still indicating a downward trend for the short term at this time frame, so we may see more downward movement. RSI's got a little ways to get before it's oversold, as has money flow. ATR now slightly declining as price moves sideways. The Elliott Wave count for XRP remains essentially the same. I'm slightly redrawing the triangle, this potential triangle for this little fourth wave. The Elliott Wave count sees a combination unfolding for intermediate 2. The first structure in the double combination is a zigzag labelled minor W. The double is joined by a 3 in the opposite direction labelled X, and the second structure may only be a flat or a triangle because a double combination can't be 2 zigzags because that's a double zigzag and it's a really different structure. Double combinations have a purpose to take up time and move price sideways, and so the second structure in a combination usually ends about the same level as the first. It's about the same level as the first here. It could be complete down there. Double combinations, the other feature about them is their X waves are more commonly deep and time consuming. Here minor wave X is 62.3% of minor wave W. That's over 50%, so it's relatively deep. And 88 days compared to 33 days for W, minor wave X is definitely time consuming. This doesn't look like an X wave within a double zigzag. This looks like an X wave within a combination. They are often more time consuming. X waves within double zigzags are usually brief and shallow. So far, minor wave Y subdivides as a flat correction, A, B, C. Both A and B subdivide as 3-wave structures, and B is a 100% correction of A. C must subdivide as a 5-wave motive structure. It may have 1, 2, 3 may be complete, 4 might be completing as a regular contracting triangle with A. B could be complete at the low for the 19th of April. C, D and E may still be needed to move price sideways. This triangle could morph into a double combination or a flat or a zigzag. 4 may not move into 1 price territory above 0.5688. I'm using the same Elliott Wave rule for XRP as I am for Ethereum. 4 may not move into wave 1 price territory. If we see a new high for XRP above 0.5688 prior to a new low, that would tell me to label the whole structure for intermediate 2 complete at this last low and expect a third wave up at multiple degrees. That would be very bullish. For XRP, I've got this big question mark about this pennant, and today for the lower edge of the pennant pattern, potentially this trend line, we have to draw it across these two lows. It's got a really shallow slope. It just doesn't look like a pennant. Pennants should have an upper and a lower trend line that converge. They both should have a reasonable slope. this is no longer looking decent. I've got a big question mark about this pennant. Let's see how this unfolds over the next few days. Immediately, let's look for support about 0.49. Good, strong, solid resistance above at 0.54 to 0.55 needs to be overcome for a bullish case for XRP. Price is moving sideways in a very small range with declining volume. This is a small consolidation for XRP. It may be within an overall downward trend for the short term at least. ADX tells us there's a downward trend in place for XRP. RSI reached oversold, so if the downward trend isn't complete at the last low, it may be complete with one more low, particularly if it does exhibit bullish divergence between price and RSI. Money flow is neutral. ATR now flattening off as price moves sideways. It did show some recent increase as recently price moved strongly lower with also push from volume. That suggests that downward movement, more downward movement for XRP is likely at least to one more low for the short term, as it did have push from volume and it did have an increase in range. But the problem, as I keep always saying for this, it's really difficult to identify lows for cryptocurrencies because they can end with strength. They can end with an increase in volume and an increase in range at the low. But an increase in volume and range can also be seen in the middle of a downward movement, so it's impossible to tell if it's the middle or the end of a downward movement. You need to wait and be patient and flexible and wait to see strength up off lows before you can have confidence that the low is finally in place and the next movement up is underway. That's it from me today with your update, and I hope everyone's having a lovely day.